Hello. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the drumstick. A drumstick is a very important part of a drummer's life. Being a drummer of 20 years, I have a little bit of a bias of the type of drumstick that I use. After trial and error, I have chosen the Vic Firth 5A. It is a perfect stick. It's light enough for me, and it gets the exact tone out of my drum set that I like to get out when I'm playing. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. I want to tell you a little bit about Vic Firth, but what I really want to talk about is the wood that they get. Now there's a whole different type of process that goes into actually making the stick to produce this, but what I want to talk to you about today is the wood that they use and how they treat the wood to make a perfect stick. Vic Firth, Everett Vic Firth, he hand whittled his first drumstick out of his garage, and the word got out of the quality of drumsticks that he was making that the retailer started calling him. So in 1963, Vic Firth opened his industry of Vic Firth sticks, and if you notice or if you've ever seen anything on Vic Firth that says the best drumstick in the world, and I would have to highly agree with that. I want to tell you a little bit about what they do with the wood, how they get their wood. What they do is they purchase green squares, and the reason that it's called green squares is because it's live and it still has its moisture in it. This gives Vic Firth the option to do what they want. It's not already dried, partly moistured. It has every bit of moisture in it. It is a raw material. There are two different types of moisture. There is moisture that is outside and in between, and that is called cell water. And the moisture that is actually inside the wood, it is called bound water. So this gives the Vic Firth the opportunity or the option to do what they want with the stick by managing the moisture, because moisture is going to do whatever it wants to unless it's managed. So Vic Firth has control over the moisture to make the type of stick that they want for different types of tones that each drummer wants. I found that to be very interesting. So the second thing that they do is the boards are cut into smaller pieces by an onset sawmill. Then there's the exact drying process. So what they do is they take the wood, it's in squares. No, it doesn't look anything like this. It just looks like a square piece of wood that's about this long. They stick it into the kiln, and what they do is it's about a 2-week process that they manage the moisture. They'll take it out, they'll cut it, they'll see if there's any stress to it, they'll see if there's any moisture in there. So this can kind of give them an idea of how far of a process it's going to be before they can actually start developing the stick that they want. Then the squares are molded into smaller squares, and then those smaller squares are reduced again, and they're put into a dowel and they're inspected. Now the dowel is a piece of wood, metal, or a plastic that holds together components of a structure. So that's what a dowel is. So then the dowels are reduced again and they're put into a special sander. So this starts the process of having the wood. Like I said, it usually takes about 2 weeks time for this to happen, and then they can start forming the different types of weight and everything that they want for the stick, because no two drummers are alike. Vic Firth uses hickory wood, and hickory is only found in the U.S., and the best hickory is found in the South. Believe it or not, there are 14 different species of hickory, and only 4 of these species are eligible for stick making. I found this to be very, very interesting. So not only do they put the time, this is just preparing the wood for the stick, and then the other processes are to follow, of course. But this impressed me the most, that they didn't just go out and cut down a tree in their front yard and try to make a stick, but they actually put thought into it and look at the science of actually making a stick that'll get a sound for each individual drummer. So the 5As are not the only weight style that they have. Like I said, I'd use 5B at times if I want to get more of a heavier sound, especially on my ride cymbal. That gives me a little bit more of a heavy sound on my bell of my ride cymbal. Or a lot of times I'll use the Steve Gadd, which is a whole lot lighter than the 5A, and it makes a really awesome sound. It helps me control exactly what I want to do on my drum set. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and drum on.